Yo, what up my niggas and niggettes? This video's for you guys, my brothers and sisters of African descent. It's Black History Month, and like every corporate shit out there, I'm gonna try to capitalize on that by making this video. My top 4 black movies, Black History Month movie recommendations. That makes sense. So during this month, instead of having to watch copy and paste movies about black trauma and gangs, I'm gonna give you some fun classic movies made for and presumably by black people. So if you're looking for your paid in fulls and your Fridays, you're not gonna find them here. Not that I don't like them, but you've definitely all seen them like a million times. I'm hoping that the films on this list you either kind of remember but haven't seen in a really long time, or obviously haven't seen at all. Anyway, I'm gonna keep this short and spoiler free regardless, so enough intro in, let's just get into it. With number 1, an absolute classic and favourite of mine, Undercover Brother, directed by Malcolm D. Lee and starring Eddie Griffin, the guy you think is Eddie Murphy, related to him in some way, until you see him and remember they look nothing alike. It also has Dave Chappelle, Neil Patrick Harris, and some other probably familiar faces. Here's a quick synopsis. Undercover Brother is a guy with the biggest afro and the coolest attitude on earth, who works to fight injustice. It seems that a mysterious bad guy known only as The Man is responsible for discrediting black figures, including a popular black general who's about to declare his candidacy for president. The Man is furious at the prospect of a black president, so he directs his henchmen to stop him. An organization called the Brotherhood asks Undercover Brother to join them in fighting the Man, and with their top agent Soul Sister, Undercover Brother infiltrates the Man's world, and hilarity and hijinks ensues. It's got that perfect cheesy and satirical 2000s humour for a late night flick, sometimes actually catching you with a gutbuster, not gonna lie. Here's a small out of context compilation.
One blast should be enough to make Caucasian food edible.
General's fried chicken is butt kicking. General's fried, you know it tastes so good.
Introducing the Nappy Meal from...
The action is quite slapsticky, but still great. I mean, who doesn't enjoy a bit of kung fu? Or black food, should I say. And the final climax of the film is just as cool as it was when I was a kid. And lastly, everyone gives a really funny and solid performance, and its story is honestly enjoyable the whole way through. The best way to sum this movie up is basically a black version of Austin Powers. So give this one a watch. You'll probably enjoy it out of everything on this list. Number 2 is going to go to Do the Right Thing, a movie that's directed by and stars Spike Lee, also sporting some familiar faces like Samuel L. Jackson and Martin Lawrence. This one is a dope watch. It's another satirical comedy / drama that doesn't really have a narrative, but it's more about how people in a low income area live on a hot summer's day on the streets of New York. It's quite dialogue heavy, but in a good way. You get a lot of familiar and sometimes insightful perspectives from people of different generations and backgrounds. There's a central character we loosely follow called Mookie, but it's mostly about everyone's day-to-day life in the neighborhood. I kind of enjoy these types of movies more where characters are already established and we are just brought into a day in their life, and how it can escalate to unfortunate but even sadder typical events many of us have experienced in our own lives. But for us and for the characters in these types of films, there's always the next day. Life moves on. A bopping soundtrack, mostly featuring Public Enemy #1's Fight the Power, and an unfortunate climax, showcasing some smart commentary on the ripple effect of hate and prejudice, makes this one a must-watch, even more so than Undercover Brother. Third on the list, we have I Spy. Probably the weakest one on this list, to be honest. This one boils down to a buddy cop movie, basically Rush Hour, but with Eddie Murphy and Owen Wilson. But this time they're spies. Well, only one of them is at first. The story here is about Kelly Robinson, a smart-mouthed, prideful 56-0 world-class boxer, and Alex Scott, a less than ideal and kinda naive, but still pretty smart secret agent, are forced to join up by order of the US government to thwart the efforts of an evil arms dealer and an international terrorist who's trying to buy a super powerful classified spy plane from him. This is another childhood classic for me, and I don't know if I can consider it a black movie, but I guess it's a clash of cultures and how people eventually can learn to be tolerable and even learn to like and share these differences. Hailing from the same year as Undercover Brother, you can imagine this one's also quite playful and cheesy, but it's still a fun watch, and it's engaging the whole way through. What else is there to say? If you like Rush Hour but don't want to watch it for the 400th time, and you like 2000s action and humour, you'll probably enjoy this one. And the final film on the list, I only watched recently, but it was recommended to me by my brother, and it's called Black Dynamite. An action comedy made in 2009, directed by Scott Sanders, starring and written by Michael J. White. You know him, he's the guy that played Spawn in 1997 Spawn, and random bad guy number 12 in The Dark Knight. I'm kidding, he's a great guy, and this movie is awesome, trust me. The plot centers on a former CIA agent, Black Dynamite, who must avenge his brother's death while cleaning the streets of a new drug that is ravaging the community. The whole film has a 70s aesthetic. The camera work, the dialogue, the funky music. It was a little bit unexpected because it works too well to the point where you really might think this film must have dropped decades ago. I honestly felt like I was watching a 70s commercial for cologne. There's even a scene where someone gets hit for real, but like accidentally, and it cuts to a new take. But don't worry, all of this is obviously on purpose. This is clearly a love letter and a parody of classic blaxploitation films from the 70s. Made for an older generation who probably actually experienced that era of cinema. The film was literally shot in 20 days and it shows, but again, this makes perfect sense when you watch this hilarious wreck. Blaxploitation refers primarily to a wave of independently produced genre of films in the early 70s. The name is obviously a combo of black and exploitation. Blaxploitation films were produced independently and typically with extremely low budgets, and this isn't a negative thing. Its term is predominantly used with love, as these films were usually made by black crews for black audiences. This film has some epic action scenes, amazing kung fu, and hilariously nonsensical one-liners all throughout the film. It's a really awkward but really funny movie, a one of a kind that we will never see again, honestly. And it might even get you to dive deeper into the old era of blaxploitation films. I definitely will. But I have an unfortunate feeling that they won't be as self-aware. But hey, if that doesn't sound like your thing, there's a modern animated version I haven't seen, but you might want to check out. It also shares the same name, Black Dynamite. Okay, that's it. If you made it to the end, then like this video if Black Lives Matter, and comment if you've seen any of these or plan on watching them. Then come back and comment your thoughts. I really do recommend either Do the Right Thing, Undercover Brother, or Black Dynamite. I guarantee you'll have a good time with those. Thanks for watching, and I guess I'll see you in the next 6 months. In a bit.